discover the incredible, heartwarming moment baby puppy Ginger made a life-changing decision. Lily sat on her perfectly manicured lawn, staring at the wavy clouds above, feeling an unsettling emptiness in her heart. The sun shone on the pristine houses where laughter echoed, but to her, it felt like a distant language spoken by others. Her parents' divorce had shattered her world into a million pieces, leaving her to wander through a suburban paradise that felt far from perfect. With each friendly wave from the neighbors, she felt more like a ghost than a little girl with dreams and joy. Then came Ginger. The moment her mother placed the golden retriever puppy in Lily's arms, something stirred within her. Ginger's bright, curious eyes looked up at Lily, tail wagging like a flag of hope. It was as if the little puppy had a mission to bridge the broken pieces of Lily's heart. Those first moments felt electric, the warmth of fur against her skin and the thumping heartbeat of life that felt real and inviting. It didn't make everything perfect, but it ignited a flicker of joy she thought was lost forever. Together, Lily and Ginger embarked on daily adventures that made the world feel brighter. They strolled through the neighborhood, Ginger chasing after leaves, her little paws scrambling in delight. As weeks passed, Lily found herself laughing again, a sound she deemed lost. It felt so foreign yet beautiful. Her mother, watching from afar, began to see a shift in her daughter, a gradual healing that radiated from their shared bond. However, trouble loomed. One afternoon, while chasing a squirrel, Ginger found herself tangled in a confrontation with the local bully. Timmy was notorious for picking on the timid children of the neighborhood. And today he had his sights set on Lucy. The tension in the air was palpable, thick with unease as Lily's heart raced. Would she stand up for Lucy, risking herself, or turn away and pretend nothing was happening? The delicate dance of her insecurities held her frozen. And that's when Ginger barked. She leapt forward, tugging at the string tied to Lucy's favorite toy, sparkling and red. The puppy's brave antics set off a chain reaction. That moment, innocence and loyalty sparked a unity among the children, their whispered fears melting into shared determination. They stood together, a small army against Timmy, stunned by Ginger's audacity. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As rumblings of the confrontation stirred among the neighborhood adults, uncertainty crept into every open door and porch swing. Lily's heart raced as her mother watched, unsure of how to handle the storm brewing on the horizon. As their tension escalated, Lily realized it was time to channel Ginger's bravery into action. With determination bubbling inside, she resolved to rally her friends, leading a charge built on solidarity and courage. Yet, as the day of confrontation approached, a sudden event erupted, a clash that would either bring the neighborhood closer together or send everyone spiraling apart. Standing at this crossroad, Lily's heart ached with uncertainty. Could their newfound unity be enough? Would they find strength in togetherness, even when fear loomed large? As she looked at her friends and felt Ginger press against her leg, she knew that sometimes the smallest heart could inspire the loudest change. The day of the confrontation was clear with a profound stillness that hung in the air, like the calm before a storm. Lily gathered her friends outside the park, the fading sunlight casting long shadows across their nervous faces. With Ginger by her side, she felt a surge of strength, but it was also tinged with the fear of what was to come. Would they actually stand up to Timmy? Or would it all end in another defeat? As the group huddled together, laughter felt foreign, replaced by tension. Lily could feel her heart thumping loudly, a steady metronome of emotions ready to burst. Around them, the chatter of kids playing echoed, reminding her of the normalcy they craved. But she couldn't shake the worry that perhaps they were just kids, facing a bully bigger and meaner than any of them. "Ginger is counting on us," Lily said, her voice steadied by the puppy's watchful eyes. "If she can be brave, so can we." The children nodded, determination flaring between them like the tiny sparks of fireworks. At that moment they were not kids. They were a team, Lily, Lucy, Jake, and the rest backed by the innocence of a puppy who believed in them. Ginger stood tall, tail wagging, embodying the spirit of their mission. When they saw Timmy down the street, the group's resolve was tested. He loomed over a smaller boy, pushing him back with harsh words. The sight ignited something in Lily, a mix of anger and urgency. "Now, together," she whispered fiercely. With a deep breath, they marched towards Timmy, side by side, hearts pounding in synchronization. The neighborhood seemed to hold its breath, whispers floating in the wind. Ginger dashed ahead, her little body quaking with excitement, ready to be the first line of defense. "Hey!" Lily's voice broke through the chatter, stronger than she felt. Timmy turned around, surprise etching across his face. The group halted, uncertainty lingering like a shadow. Trepidation flooded Lily's mind, but she pressed on. "Why do you pick on everyone? We won't let you push us around anymore." Timmy smirked, his bravado splintering but not shattering. "What are you gonna do? Bark back at me?" He laughed, a sharp, taunting sound. But it was Ginger who answered, barking fiercely. The puppy dashed towards Timmy, unafraid despite her small size, full of resolve. It was almost comical, this brave little fluffball challenging a bully. The absurdity of it made the children laugh, tension releasing like the air in a balloon. Suddenly, something shifted in the air. The laughter turned to encouragement. Little voices grew stronger as they rallied behind Lily. "We're not afraid of you!" They shouted, and with every declaration, the group felt empowered. Timmy's smirk faded. For the first time, he seemed unsure, outnumbered by the bravery shining from this united front of children. Lily could see his hesitance, the hesitation that came with realizing he wasn't the only one with power. The energy shifted, and before anyone knew it, the bully turned, walking away with a huff. Lily's heart soared. There was a thrill in the air, a rush of accomplishment that filled the space where doubt used to linger. They had done it. The reckless bravery of a puppy had given them strength, transforming timid whispers into a triumphant roar. But as cheers echoed in her ears, a nagging worry crept back in. Would this unity last? Was there more to face beyond today? As the group celebrated their victory, Lily couldn't help but feel a new storm building on the horizon. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain: together, they were unstoppable. Just then, a voice broke the celebration, calling from afar. "What are you kids doing? You better run home before." The harsh reality of the afternoon split the moment. Someone had spotted the commotion, and with it, a new challenge loomed ahead. Would they be able to face this new problem, or would their moment of triumph be short-lived? Lily felt a tightening in her chest as the thrill of victory faded. Would courage truly prevail, no matter what else came their way? Lily's heart skipped as she turned to see who had shouted. A tall figure emerged from the shadows, a teenager named Sam, known more for his idle threats than for his kindness. His presence stung like ice, water splashed on a warm day, causing the crowd of kids to scatter slightly, adrenaline mixing with apprehension. "What's going on here?" Sam asked, eyeing the group. His voice was heavy with a mockery that seemed to linger, challenging their newfound confidence. Lily felt her grip on Ginger tighten. "We were just standing up to Timmy," she said defiantly, her own voice breaking through the nervousness. Her friends shifted behind her, a wall of solidarity against the larger boy. "Oh, really?" Sam raised an eyebrow, crossing his arms, a smirk curling his lips. "A bunch of kids with a puppy think they can take on Timmy. That's rich." The laughter faded from the remaining kids, drowning under the weight of his words. Even the sunny evening felt dimmer. Lily glanced back at her friends. Jake and Lucy looked anxious, their confidence flickering. It was as if Sam's words held a power of their own, threatening to squash the hope they'd felt just moments before. But Ginger had sensed the shift. The little puppy's ears perked up, and she bounded forward, barking with a newfound ferocity. Her small body shook as if she were challenging the very essence of doubt that loomed over them. "Ginger, stop!" Lily called, half in laughter and half in fear. But something stirred within her as she watched the puppy dig her tiny paws into the ground, staring Sam down. There was a lesson in that bark, a reminder that size didn't define courage. "See," Lily regained her momentum. "She's brave." The laughter returned to the kids, a gentle ripple breaking through the tension. "And we can be brave too." This time, the whisper of resolve grew louder. "Yeah," Lucy shouted, her voice ringing with strength. "We won't let you scare us." Sam took a small step back, caught off guard by the shift in the room. The unity of the kids was strong, pushed forward by their shared experience, and now, emboldened by the tiny creature at their feet. "What are you gonna do? Bark at me?" He retorted, but his bravado wavered under the weight of their collective gaze. Unlike Timmy, Sam had never had to deal with a united front. The cockiness began to slip, revealing the insecurity masked beneath his sarcasm. "Yeah, maybe we will." Jake chimed in, and this time there was no laughter, just strength evident in his words. "And we're going to keep standing up to bullies like you." There was silence thick and heavy. In those moments, Lily understood a poignant truth about fear and courage. Standing together meant confronting the doubts, the challenges, and even the unexpected. As Sam shifted uncomfortably, their group gained momentum. Ginger barked again, seemingly rallying for another round, and the kids erupted in cheers. They stood together, shoulders squared and hearts racing, each feeling a little taller. But as the cheers faded into a tense quiet, another voice cut through the evening. "What's going on here?" A female figure stepped closer, Mrs. Summers, the neighborhood watch, her gaze sharp and wise as she assessed the scene unfolding before her. Lily's heart raced again. Had they crossed a line? Would their moment of brave defiance turn against them? With every eye now upon them, an unsettling mix of pride and fear swirled inside her. "Can we explain?" she blurted out, glancing at Ginger, who was now resting her chin on Lily's leg, a comforting presence amidst uncertainty. The group shifted uneasily as they prepared to explain. But what might Mrs. Summers think? Or will this lead to even bigger problems? Lily thought, wondering if they were truly ready for everything that awaited them. Only one thing felt certain: the fight for their unity was just beginning. Mrs. Summers stepped forward, her light brown hair catching the fading sunlight as she squinted at the kids. "I asked what was going on," she repeated, her voice steady but carrying an undercurrent of concern. The kids fidgeted, each of them hoping someone else would speak up. Lily could feel the weight of Mrs. Summers' scrutiny. Swallowing hard, she took a deep breath. "We were standing up to Sam. He was making fun of us," she admitted, her voice steadying. There was something empowering in admitting it aloud, even if it did send a shiver of dread through her. Mrs. Summers turned her gaze to Sam, who was now scuffing the ground with his shoe, the bravado slipping away. "And why were you doing that?" She lifted an eyebrow, her piercing blue eyes narrowing. "Because Timmy," Sam started, but the words caught in his throat. He looked from Lily to Mrs. Summers, the moment of realization dawning on him that maybe this wasn't all a joke. "We want to make sure everyone feels safe," Jake chimed in, summoning the courage he didn't know he had. "Tim been bullying us, and he tired of it. So we decided to stand up." There was a long pause, the tension almost tangible. Even Ginger, who had been wagging her tail with enthusiasm, seemed to sense the seriousness of the moment. She glanced at Lily, who scratched her behind the ears, finding comfort in the little creature. Mrs. Summers nodded slowly, her expression softening. "You know, standing up for yourselves is important. But it requires being smart about how you handle situations like this." Lily watched intently, eyes shining with hope. Would Mrs. Summers understand? Would she support them? "Maybe you don't have to do it alone," she continued gently. "There are ways to reach out to adults for help. All of you should feel safe here, in this neighborhood." "Yeah, but Timmy," Lucy murmured, voice conviction. "He'll just keep bullying us." At that, Mrs. Summers smiled, a knowing spark in her eyes. "Sometimes, all it takes is finding the right support. I can help you. Let's speak to Timmy's parents together." The phrase hung in the air, like a talisman of hope. Together, Lily thought, her heart racing with optimism. She glanced at her friends, and one by one, their expressions shifted from anxiety to excitement. Ginger barked again, as if sharing in their enthusiasm. The kids giggled, relief washing over them like a warm summer rain. Slowly, the tension of fear began to fade, replaced by the promise of safety and unity. "And don't forget," Mrs. Summers added, her voice taking on a lightness, "with great bravery comes great responsibility. Making sure you relieve the other up instead of tearing each other down." "Yes," Jake exclaimed, a wide grin spreading across his face. "We can do this." Lily felt a rush of warmth fill the space between them. It wasn't just about bravely facing Sam or Timmy anymore. It was about supporting one another, leaning on each other's strength. "Okay, let's do it." Their lusts acclaiming through, but just then a shadow loomed behind Mrs. Summers. It was Timmy. The unmistakable sneer curled across his face as he stepped into the light, and for the first time, Lily felt a knot of fear grip her stomach. "What are you losers talking about?" He sneered, crossing his arms defiantly. The air turned thick, every breath stilled by the tension he brought with him. How could they face him now? Would their bravery crumble? Lily looked at her friends. They were standing side by side, ready to confront the challenge ahead. But what would happen next? Would they be able to continue the fight for what was right? Or would doubt creep back in, threatening their unity once again? The moment of truth was here, and they had to decide how they would respond. Timmy's sneer hung in the air, thick with tension. His eyes flickered over Lily and her friends, searching for any sign of fear. But all they had now was a spark ignited by Mrs. Summers' support. Lily squeezed Jake's arm, a silent reassurance that she was still with him. "We're talking about how we want things to change," she said, her voice steady despite her shaking knees. "You don't have to bully us to feel powerful." Timmy chuckled, a harsh sound that echoed through the quiet neighborhood. "Change? You're a joke. What do you kids think you can do? Stop picking on us." For starters, Jake retorted, his voice rising. The fear in his expression had shifted to determination. For a fleeting moment, Timmy looked taken aback. His bravado faltered. But then he pushed it back, shrugging it off like a wet coat. "Whatever," he muttered, but the edge in his voice lacked the confidence it once had. Lily's heart quickened. Was this her chance? "You know," she prompted, trying to keep it calm, "if you ever felt like reaching out for help, you could. Everyone deserves a break from feeling angry or hurt." "Don't get all mushy on me," Timmy snapped, but the words felt hollow. A flicker of uncertainty crossed his features. Across the street, Mrs. Summers stood quietly, watching the exchange with an approving gaze. Lily noticed the small smile tugging at her lips. It was a small victory, but it electrified the air around them. Then, unexpectedly, Ginger bounded forward, her tail wagging furiously. She approached Timmy, nosing at his shoes, oblivious to the tension of the moment. Timmy's sneer began to falter as he looked down at the fluffy ball of enthusiasm. "Get lost, mutt," he barked, but there was no bite to the command. Ginger whined softly, still trying to show affection. As if drawn by some unseen force, Timmy knelt down, despite himself, to scratch her behind the ears. In that instant, the wall he had built around himself began to crack. Lily's breath caught in her throat. Could it be? With each gentle stroke of Ginger's fur, Timmy's anger seemed to dissolve just the slightest bit. "You like her?" Jake asked, eyes wide, as if he couldn't believe what he was witnessing. "Shut up," Timmy muttered, embarrassment creeping into his tone, but the sincerity in his eyes was unmistakable. "Maybe you could join us," Lily suggested, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. "Instead of tearing us down, you could be part of our group." "Yeah," Lucy added quickly, "it doesn't have to be this way. We could hang out. Dogs are pretty cool." Timmy's brows furrowed. This was not the response he expected, and it threw him off balance. "You're serious?" Before Lily could answer, Sam, still trying to save face, jumped in. "What? Why would we want him?" "Because," Lily said, her confidence pouring out like a river, "everyone can change, even you. You can find a better way to feel strong." Ginger let out a little bark, as if on cue, sealing the moment with innocence. Timmy's sneer faltered, uncertainty replacing it. He looked between Ginger, who was now blissfully licking his hand, and the determined faces of the kids who had once trembled before him. The knot in his chest started to unravel. "You really think I can just, hang out with you?" he asked, his tone softer now, almost vulnerable. In that moment, the fragile connection hung in the balance. What would he choose? Would he allow the chance for friendship to blossom? Would he step off that dark path he had so vehemently clung to? Timmy hesitated, looking at the outstretched hands of friendship. The sound of crickets began to rise in the warm evening, filling the silence with anticipation. All eyes were on him, a mixture of hope and anxiety swirling in the air. But would he take the leap, or would he retreat into the shadows once again? The decision loomed before them. Would resilience and unity shift the course of his heart? As the sun dipped lower, casting an amber glow, the moment stood still, waiting for a choice. Timmy's eyes darted between Lily, Jake, and the little golden ball of fur nudging his leg. The surprise on their faces mixed with hope weighed heavily on him. It felt bizarre, this sense of being pulled into directions. Ginger gave a soft whimper, wagging her tail as if sensing the electric tension. It was a simple show of love that melted something deep within him. Timmy felt an unfamiliar ache in his chest, something he hadn't noticed before amidst the chaos of his own anger. "Why would you want me around?" His voice quivered slightly, betraying the bravado he usually carried like armor. I'm not nice." "That's okay." Lucy stepped forward. "None of us are perfect. We've had our moments too. We can figure it out together." Timmy was surprised. In his life, no one had ever suggested that he could change. He had always been the one to make others feel small and vulnerable. The laughter and cheers from the group he'd bullied echoed in his mind, but now they sounded different. Dim and lonely. What if you all don't like me? What if I mess up? Timmy's hands clenched into fists, a reflex that felt all too familiar. Lily took a step closer, her eyes warm and inviting. "What if we all mess up? That's how we learn. You don't have to be alone in this." The vulnerability in her voice struck a chord. Timmy's heart raced, as if hammering against a locked door. What if he stepped through? What if he didn't? He still saw the glimmer of doubt in his old friend's eyes, those who had cheered on his bullying. Would he lose that connection if he changed? The thought made his stomach knot again. "You're serious about this?" he asked, needing affirmation more than a challenge. "Absolutely," Jake assured him. "We're ready for you to join us. No judgments, just friendship. We'd love to have you." Timmy hesitated, the weight of his decision swirling in a dizzying dance. He imagined hanging out with Lily and her friends, laughing about silly things, playing tag, maybe even sitting side by side while eating ice cream under the fading sun. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. Then Ginger jumped up and licked his cheek again. The warmth of her affection felt like an anchor in the raging tide of his emotions. He couldn't help the small smile that crept onto his face, lighting up the shadows that had lingered for so long. For the first time, he stared into their hopeful eyes and saw a glimmer of something he had forgotten: acceptance. But the old, familiar voices began to whisper their doubts. What if this is a trap? What if they just want to make fun of you more? The internal battle raged on, and for a moment he faltered, his gaze dimmed. Then he caught Lily's eye again, and the soft confidence there reminded him of the courage he wanted to find. He started, words catching in his throat. His fear tried to drown out his resolve, but deep inside, something stubborn stirred. He had been given a chance, and this was a moment that could redefine him. But up ahead, in the fading light, an abrupt sound interrupted his thoughts. A clash echoed down the street, followed by a rising commotion. What was that? Sam said, his eyes darting to the noise. Timmy instinctively stepped back, fear clawing at him again. He felt the old instincts rising, the urge to flee, but the eyes of his new friends locked onto him with urgency. Timmy, we need you. Lily's call rang clear, yanking him back from the edge of retreat. Would he stand his ground and face whatever storm was coming? Or would he allow the old path, filled with shadows, to claim him once more? As the sounds grew louder, Timmy's heart raced with potential of bravery or cowardice. The choice loomed again, threatening to shift the very fabric of his life. The crash echoed again, sharper this time, slicing through the air like a knife. It sent a jolt through Timmy, a mix of fear and adrenaline coursing through his veins. His instincts screamed at him to run. But as he looked at Lily, Jake, and the others, he could see the determination in their eyes. They were ready to confront whatever lay ahead. Stay close, Jake urged, and Timmy's heart pounded in response. He found himself nodding, though his body still struggled against the urge to flee. Ginger sensed his uncertainty, choosing that moment to nuzzle against him for comfort. Come on, Lily said, taking a step forward, her confidence shimmering like a beacon in the encroaching dusk. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Their small group edged closer to the source of the chaos. Hearts beating fast, and whispers of doubt fluttering through Timmy's mind. It was a strange sensation, the fear of the unknown clashing with a flicker of hope, fueled by the acceptance he felt from his new friends. They rounded a corner and froze. A larger crowd had gathered around the swings in the park. Children were crying, and a few parents shouted at each other. A boy, Thomas, lay on the ground, clutching his ankle, while others watched anxiously from a distance. What happened? Jake asked, stepping closer, and a wave of protective energy surged through Timmy. He took a breath, the smell of grass and freshly baked cookies in the air, mingling with the salty tongue of fear. Thomas fell, one girl explained, her voice shaking. He can't get up. Timmy's heart sank. He remembered the times he used to kick dirt at other kids for just slipping up. But now, instead of feeling disdain, he felt a strong pull towards helping. Without thinking, Timmy sprang into action. I can help, he shouted, surprising even himself. The words burst free from him, igniting a warmth beneath his skin. The crowd turned, eyes wide. Timmy, wait, Jake called, but Timmy didn't stop. He darted towards Thomas, kneeling beside him while other kids parted to make way. Are you okay? What hurts? He asked, forcing his breath to steady as he noticed the boy's pale face. With a glance over his shoulder, he saw the collective anxiousness of the crowd, but this Timmy he didn't feel overwhelmed. He felt their hope. I think I twisted it. It hurts. Thomas winced, tears pooling in his eyes. Okay, just breathe. Timmy placed a hand on Thomas's shoulder, trying to convey strength. Ginger, sensing the urgency, sat beside them, her presence calming as she rested her muzzle on Thomas's knee. Everything's going to be all right. "We'll get you up," Timmy declared, his voice coming out stronger than he felt. "Lily, can you get some help?" Lily was already moving, her eyes scanning the crowd, rallying others to action. Timmy felt the rush of adrenaline mixed with the swell of something deeper, a feeling of belonging, of purpose. It was different from the empty power he'd known before. He wasn't seeking to prove himself. He was choosing to help. As he looked back down at Thomas, a small, encouraging smile broke through the boy's tears. "You really think so?" "I know so," Timmy replied, feeling a warmth envelop the space around them, igniting a moment of connection unlike any he had experienced before. But just as the crowd began to calm, a new noise erupted, a cacophony that echoed ominously behind them. The tension shifted, the laughter and shouts replaced with whispers of disbelief. What was coming now? Timmy's heart raced again, fear clawing at the edges of his mind. He was faced with a choice once more. Would he stand firm and help, or let doubt and fear creep back in? As he looked around, the warm, understanding faces of his friends anchored him, and somewhere deep down, he knew. It wasn't just about overcoming this fear, but about emerging as the person he was meant to be. With the new sounds growing louder and more urgent, Timmy felt the stirrings of courage flare within him. "Let's go see what it is," he shouted, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And with that they turned towards the challenge, hearts together, forging ahead into the unknown. What awaited them would surely test everything they had just begun to build. The air thrummed with anticipation as Timmy led the charge. Each step felt heavier than the last, dread mixing with hope in a cocktail of emotions. The crowd shifted behind them, voices tangling in a mix of curiosity and anxiety. A few children clutched their parents tightly, their wide eyes scanning the scene. It felt like they were walking towards the edge of a precipice, the ground beneath them shaky and uncertain. As they rounded the next corner, the source of the noise came into view. A broken swing set had collapsed, and a cluster of kids surrounded it, shouting warnings to one another. The shouts quickly morphed into cries for help. Timmy's stomach knotted. It seemed more serious than he'd imagined. "Stay together," Jake called out, glancing back at the others. His voice was steady but urgent, grounding Timmy in the moment. Lily moved closer to Timmy. Her hand was firmly gripping his arm. "There's a kid stuck." Lily pointed urgently toward a small girl beneath the wreckage, her curls hidden beneath a swing that lay awkwardly tilted. Timmy's heart sank. He felt a rush of panic swell within him, but desperation for the girl pushed him forward, overriding his fears. "We have to get her out," Timmy yelled, rallying his friends. The group quickly surrounded the swing set. Timmy crouched low, assessing the situation. The girl's face was streaked with tears, and her frightened cries pierced through the chaos, cutting straight to his heart. "Can you move?" Timmy asked, voice trembling, but he reached out to take the girl's hand. She shook her head, eyes wide and terrified. "It hurts. I can't." Ginger sensed the urgency, barking once before nudging Timmy's leg, as if to say, "You can do this." "Okay," Timmy whispered, feeling both afraid and empowered by the little puppy's encouragement. "We need to lift this swing together." He turned to his friends, who were each looking at him as if searching for strength. "Jake, grab that side." "Lily, help me from this side," he commanded, an emboldened fire igniting within him. Everyone nodded, moving into position, determination etched on their faces. On 3, Timmy began, his heart racing. 1, 2, 3. Together, they lifted the swing, muscles straining against the weight of the metal. The girl squirmed free and then fell flat on her belly, scrambling to crawl away from danger. When she saw Timmy, her tears turned to a small, grateful smile. "Thank you," she breathed, and the sound felt like music amidst the chaos. Before Timmy could respond, a crack jolted through the air, and he turned to see a swing snapping off its chains entirely, crashing to the ground where they had just been. The noise echoed, teeth rattling and chaos erupting once more. In that split second, fear clutched at him again. Everyone back! Jake shouted, positioning himself protectively in front of the others. But Timmy stood rooted, staring at the sway of the remaining swings. The little girl had just pulled herself to her feet, crying with relief but also still trembling from the chaos. Suddenly, he realized this wasn't just about physical dangers. They were reeling from a deeper sense of vulnerability, from realizing that things could unfold unexpectedly. "Timmy." Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. "We need to move." She reached for him, but his pulse raced. The clarity of purpose was overwhelming. "Wait," he blurted, blood rushing to his head. "We can help the others first." The moment hung thick, charged with possibilities. Would they stand back and let fear take over, or would they continue to fight through the chaos together? As the adrenaline surged through him one last time, Timmy felt the weight of their collective courage. He met Jake's eyes, and something passed between them, a shared understanding of what it meant to stand up for others, to push past fear. "Okay," Jake said slowly, a glimmer of understanding forming. "What's the plan?" Timmy's heart soared with the idea that they could be the ones making a difference, not just bystanders in their own lives, but active participants. The moment was about to change everything, and he felt it deep in his bones. "Let's do this," he shouted, his voice ringing strong. And together, as a unified front, they made the decision to act. What challenges lay ahead would reshape them all in ways they couldn't yet comprehend, but for now, they had taken the first courageous step. Little did they know, the real test was just around the corner. Timmy's heart pounded in sync with the chaos around him. The debris was daunting, but an electric thrill sparked in his chest. This was their moment to make a difference. The sound of laughter in the distance faded, replaced only by the rapid beating of his own heart. "Let's move," Timmy urged, his voice steadying as he pointed towards a group of kids who were helping another child who had fallen closer to the jungle gym. The plaintive cries mingled with the rattle of the swing set's remaining structures. Heights towering in the background like silent witnesses to their urgent mission. Lily pulled at Timmy's sleeve, her eyes wide. "Are you sure? What if something else falls?" "The longer we wait, the more danger they're in," he replied, determination filling his words. "We're stronger together. Let's go." Jake nodded, quickly leading the charge towards the other kids. As they dashed forward, Timmy caught a lingering glance back at the girl they had rescued. Her wavering smile had turned into a glimmer of hope, a reminder that their actions mattered. With renewed purpose, he turned and sprinted. "Help!" Another voice pierced through the haze of their adrenaline. A boy was trapped beneath a seesaw that had tipped over, his small body squirming helplessly. Panic seeped into the group's dynamic for just a moment as they saw him flail. "Just lift it," Jake shouted, grabbing the far side of the seesaw without hesitation. Timmy rushed forward, instinctively positioning himself beside Jake. On 3, Timmy called out firmly. The kids crowded around, a united strength forming effortlessly. 1, 2, 3. With effort, they heaved the seesaw upward. The boy gasped as he wriggled free, rolling to the side and out of harm's way. Relief flooded the scene, and amidst the anxious crowd, a cheer erupted from the kids gathered around them. Yeah, Lily beamed, joy washing over her worries. But just as their victory sparked celebration, a loud creak echoed ominously overhead. Lokauchi. A voice yelled, and the group froze, hearts in their throats. Timmy's eyes shot to the swings above them, the rusted chains dangling like precarious swords, ready to crash down. A swing appeared to be teetering on the edge, and in that heartbeat of realization, the atmosphere shifted once more. Move, shouted Jake, already moving back. Timmy grabbed Lily's arm, yanking her away with him, a burst of adrenaline propelling them across the sandy ground. They ducked low just before a piece of the neighboring playground equipment swung loose and crashed nearby, sending up a shower of dust and splinters. Everyone okay? Timmy asked, checking on his friends, his breath coming heavy from both fear and exertion. Yeah, just shaky, Lily said, brushing dust from her arms. The energy around them was charged, but hearing that their friends were unharmed gave him a surge of optimism. That was close, Jake said, catching his breath, but we can't give up now. There must be more kids that need help. The frantic energy surged anew as the crowd began to coalesce. Encouraging shouts spread among them, and before Timmy knew it, he was navigating toward the other end of the playground, their spirits lifting with every additional rescue they attempted. In those moments of action, the children's fears transformed into courage, and they began to understand their united strength. But just as they approached a thicket of trees near the edge of the playground, a sudden silence descended over the chaos. Their collective laughter and shouts faded into an eerie quiet, and Timmy felt a chill on the back of his neck. What's going on? He whispered, looking around nervously. Then, a low rumble echoed, not too far from where they stood, and the ground beneath them suddenly trembled. Timmy's heart raced again. Was this playtime just about to turn into something much more dangerous? What lay ahead felt uncertain, and fear mingled with the adrenaline that fueled them. Stay close, he shouted, gripping Lily's hand tightly once more as they advanced further into the unknown, unaware of the greater challenge that awaited them. As the ground shook again, a collective gasp escaped the group. Timmy and his friends braced themselves, eyes wide, hearts pounding like drums. They could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down on them, but they stood firm, together. What is that? Lucy asked, her voice nearly a whisper, trembling with both fear and eagerness. She clutched Ginger tightly, the puppy's warm body offering comfort in the chaos of adrenaline. It's coming from the other side of the playground, Timmy replied, his voice steadying slightly as he felt the grip of the other children anchoring him. We need to see if anyone else is in trouble. The group shuffled as they moved towards the source of the noise, the warm sunlight dimming as thick clouds rolled in overhead. There was no turning back now, not when their friends might still need help. Rounding the corner, they came face to face with a chilling sight. A tree had toppled, its roots exposed, crashing right into the nearby play area, scattering toys and scattering the children around them into a frenzy. Frightened cries filled the air, and a few kids stood frozen, their faces painted with shock and disbelief. We need to help them. Jake shouted, the sense of urgency in his voice reigniting the courage from moments before. Without hesitation, Timmy felt a surge of resilience wash over him. He turned to face his friends, their faces lit with determination. We can't let fear stop us. Let's work together to get everyone to safety. As they waded into the chaos, children were darting this way and that, unsure of where to go. The cries for help mingled with the whimpering of scared friends, but amidst it all, Timmy felt a fierce, propelling energy rise. He clasped Jake's shoulder, their bond stronger than ever. Ishchiki said, he instructed, leading the way towards the nearest group of kids standing by and cringing beneath the fallen branches. Hey, over here! Lily called out to a nearby gaggle of children, her energy drawing more eyes their way. With a quick glance around, Timmy could see others forming a blockade of sorts, creating pathways to guide their frightened fellow kids to safety. With Ginger at his side, valiantly keeping pace with his every step, the excitement coursed through Timmy, igniting a fervor he hadn't known he had. Let's create a line he called Ouchie. One by one, we can help everyone across. In moments, they formed an assembly line, passing frightened children towards safety. The fear that flickered in many of their eyes transferred slowly into excitement as realization set in that they were united in purpose, moving as a singular force of compassion. Every rescue ignited a fiery, collective roar of triumph that melted doubts away. Ginger bounded between them, barking encouragingly as she spread joy like confetti, offering soft nudges to the kids in need. Suddenly, they spotted a young girl, her small frame trapped behind a twisted piece of the slide. She was stuck, tears streaming down her cheeks, clearly overwhelmed. Timmy's heart ached for her. Stay calm, we're coming, he shouted, urgency surging through him again. He ran towards her, Jake right beside him. Together, they approached, crouching low. Can you crawl out if we lift this? Timmy asked, keeping his tone gentle. I think so, she sniffled, her wide eyes betraying her confidence. With a nod from Jake, they pushed against the slide, muscles straining and hearts thrumming loud in their chests. On 3. Timmy exclaimed. 1, 2, 3. The slide creaked, slowly lifting as the girl scrambled forward. With a gasp of relief, she tumbled out and into their outstretched arms, gasping with a mix of gratitude and fear. Thank you, she cried, tears now mixed with giggles. Then the crowd broke into cheers, their spirits igniting with renewed hope. We did it! We did it! Echoed amongst them, lifting every heart, bridging together their newfound friendship. Just then, the rumble of the sky burst forth, releasing a torrential downpour that caught them off guard. Raindrops pelted down, soaking through their clothes, but instead of cowering, they laughed. Everyone get under the trees. Jake yelled, as the group moved together under the few large oaks that still stood strong. The chaos from moments ago seemed to wash away with the rain, leaving only camaraderie behind. I can't believe we just did that. Timmy shouted, his voice booming over the sound of the rain. We are unstoppable, I can't believe I helped. Timmy felt the glow of pride bubbling inside. Somewhere, a switch had flipped. Those fears and insecurities had been replaced with purpose, unity, and, most importantly, friendship. As the rain fell hard around them, they looked at one another, tears of joy mixing with the drifting raindrops. In that moment amidst the rain-soaked laughter, They promised themselves that they would always stand together, each of them with courage, kindness, and resilience in their hearts. And so began their journey of change, marked not just by facing down fear, but in realizing that real strength lies in lifting each other up, hand in hand, into whatever awaited them next. This was how their friendship would transform, becoming a beacon of light for all. Now, dear audience, do you feel the change sweeping across your screen? This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm with this powerful narrative. Comment below your feelings about this incredible journey and the friendships that helped forge the character's destiny. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. Your support means everything.